Kody Brown and Robyn Brown just got exactly what they wanted: a cash offer on their Flagstaff mansion, a golden ticket to their next dream home, and the cameras caught every single second of their reaction. But here's what nobody's talking about. The sheer, unfiltered giddiness on their faces wasn't about fresh starts or new beginnings. It was relief. Desperate, can't hide it anymore relief. Because Kody and Robyn aren't moving up in the world, they're drowning. And that $2 million mansion they just bought, it might be the anchor that finally pulls them under for good. Let's rewind for just a second. Picture the scene. Justin Bates, their realtor, walks through the door with news they've got a cash offer. It's slightly under asking price, but it's cash. And what do Kody and Robyn do? They light up like it's Christmas morning. Robyn can't stop smiling. Kody's eyes are practically sparkling. Cash, you say? Cash? Can we get that in tens so Robyn can starfish on a bed full of bills with her dolls? Because that's the energy we're seeing here. Pure, unfiltered joy. Not the solemn gratitude of people making a difficult but necessary life change. Not the bittersweet emotion of leaving a home full of memories. Just straight up euphoria that someone, anyone, is willing to hand them cold, hard cash. Now here's where it gets interesting. In the very same episode, Robyn's talking about depression. She's mentioning grief. She's citing bad memories as the reason they need to leave. Kody's going on about how they got divorced 3 times in that house, how he got the call about Garrison in that house, how he even got a cold in that house, which apparently counts as trauma now. They're painting this picture of 2 broken people who need a fresh start to heal. But their faces are telling a completely different story. They're not sad, they're not grieving, they're ecstatic. And that gap between what they're saying and what they're showing, that's where the truth lives. Because here's what's really happening. Kody and Robyn didn't just want to move, they needed to move. And not for the emotional reasons they're selling to the cameras. The cash offer wasn't a bonus, it was a lifeline. See their dream home on the other side of town, the one they made an offer on? That offer required them to sell the house they're living in, which means they couldn't afford the down payment without it. Let that sink in for a second. Kody Brown, the man with the TLC paycheck, the man who once had 4 wives contributing to the family finances, the man who owned multiple properties across Flagstaff, can't scrape together a down payment without selling his current house first. And suddenly, that giddy reaction makes a whole lot more sense. Let's talk numbers, because the math here is absolutely staggering. Kody Brown used to have it made. 4 wives, multiple income streams, a hit television show pumping consistent money into the family accounts, and enough financial stability to purchase an entire plot of land called Coyote Pass. Fast forward to now, and he's scrambling. He's packing boxes before he's even secured a buyer. He's making offers on houses he can't afford without liquidating his current assets. And he's doing all of this while pretending everything is fine. But it's not fine, it's a financial disaster wrapped in a carefully curated bow. Think about what Kody's lost in just a few short years. 3 wives walked away. Christine left first, and she didn't leave quietly. She took her share of everything with her, including her portion of Coyote Pass. Then Janelle followed, and while their split seemed more amicable on the surface, money still changed hands. Assets still got divided. Then Mary finally made it official, and that's another chunk of the empire gone. Each divorce costs money, legal fees, property division, settling debts, and all of this is happening while Kody and Robyn are still trying to maintain their lifestyle. The big house, the nice cars, the image of success, but here's the kicker. At the exact moment they're house hunting, Christine is actively suing Kody. Court battles aren't cheap. Lawyers don't work for free, and every single day that lawsuit drags on, it's draining resources. Yet Kody and Robyn are out here looking at $2 million properties like they've got money to burn. They're talking about opulence. They're measuring square footage. They're debating whether to keep the massive dining room table that came with the house. Meanwhile, their financial foundation is crumbling beneath them, and they're either completely oblivious or they're the best actors on reality television. Here's what really tells the story, though. That cash offer. The way their faces lit up when they heard the word cash. Because cash means immediate liquidity. Cash means no waiting for mortgage approvals or bank transfers. Cash means they can close fast and get that money into their hands before anything else goes wrong. And they needed that speed, they needed that certainty, because without it, their dream home slips away. Without it, they're stuck in the house with all the bad memories and nowhere to run. Robyn's sitting there talking about having faith in God, about how he'll provide, about how they're just packing up and trusting that everything will work out. And look, faith is beautiful, prayer is powerful. But you know what faith doesn't do? Pay mortgages. And Robyn's prayer-based financial planning is about to crash headfirst into reality. because the God she's praying to also gave her a brain. And that brain should be telling her that buying a house 40% bigger than your last one when you can barely afford the down payment is not divine intervention, it's financial suicide. Let's trace the breadcrumbs of this financial collapse because it didn't happen overnight. This has been building for years, and every single decision Cody made brought him closer to this moment. It starts with Coyote Pass, that massive piece of land that was supposed to be the family's forever home, the place where they'd build their compound and live happily ever after in polygamous harmony, except it never happened. Years went by, and all that land did was sit there, accumulating property taxes and generating exactly zero income. That's money hemorrhaging out of the family accounts every single year for a dream that died before ground was ever broken. Then came the divorces, and this is where the financial bleeding really accelerated. Christine was the first domino to fall, and she didn't just walk away empty-handed. She took her cut. Her portion of Coyote Pass, her share of whatever assets they'd accumulated together. And Christine's not struggling now, is she? She's thriving in her cute little house with David, living her best life while Cody's scrambling to make ends meet. That tells you everything you need to know about who was actually managing money responsibly in that family. Janelle followed Christine out the door, and while she's always been more low-key about finances, don't think for a second that split didn't cost Cody. Janelle's the practical one, the one who actually understands budgets and savings and financial planning. Losing her wasn't just losing a wife. It was losing the one person in that family who had any business sense whatsoever. And now Janelle's sitting pretty with her RV lifestyle and her independence while Cody's playing house with Robyn in a mansion they can't actually afford. Mary's departure was the final nail in the coffin. And sure, Mary and Cody's relationship had been dead for years, but she was still technically part of the financial equation. Still contributing, still there now she's gone too, running her bed and breakfast and living her own life. And Cody's down to one wife and one income stream from the show that's keeping this whole charade afloat. But wait, there's more. Because while all of this is happening, Christine's lawsuit is actively in progress. She's taking Cody to court, and that's not cheap. Legal fees are piling up, court costs are mounting, and every single day that case continues, it's money Cody doesn't have flying out of his accounts. Yet here he is committing to a $2 million mortgage like he's got unlimited resources, like he's not one canceled TV show away from complete financial ruin. The timeline is damning. Coyote Pass purchased but never developed. 3 divorces finalized or in progress. An active lawsuit draining resources. And in the middle of all of this chaos, Kody and Robyn decide now is the perfect time to upgrade to a bigger, more expensive house. The math isn't mathing. The finances aren't financing. And that desperate giddiness when they got that cash offer, that was the sound of 2 people who know they're in way over their heads but can't admit it out loud. Now let's talk about Robyn's approach to financial planning because it's absolutely wild. While most people in a precarious financial situation would be cautious, careful, maybe even consulting with a financial advisor, Robyn's over here packing boxes and praying. Literally, she's got faith that God will provide them with a mansion. A mansion big enough that Ariella won't feel like she's living in a shack anymore. A mansion with room for hide and seek. And look, there's nothing wrong with faith, but when your financial strategy consists of pack first, pray second, secure the sale never, you're not being faithful, you're being reckless. The cameras caught them packing up their house before they even had a solid buyer. Before Justin Bates walked through that door with the cash offer, Robyn and Cody were already boxing up their lives, convinced that everything would just work out. And when people online started questioning this approach, the response was essentially trust in God. But here's the thing, God helps those who help themselves. And helping yourself means having a backup plan. It means understanding that packing up your entire house before you've secured both a buyer for your current home and financing for your new one is not faith, it's foolishness. Think about the audacity of this approach. They found their dream home on the other side of town. They made an offer that required them to sell their current house. They didn't have the down payment without that sale going through. And instead of waiting, instead of being strategic, instead of doing literally anything that resembled responsible financial planning, they just started packing. Robyn's sitting there surrounded by boxes, talking about how she just knows it'll work out, how God's gonna come through for them, and to be fair, he did. They got their cash offer. But what if they hadn't? What if that offer never came? What if the only offers they got required repairs or contingencies or lengthy closing periods? Then there's the speed of it all. Justin Bates shows up, delivers the news about the cash offer, and suddenly they're moving 5 minutes of television time between possibility and reality. And that's not how real estate works for normal people. Normal people wait, They negotiate, they consider their options. But Kody and Robyn couldn't afford to wait. They needed that cash. They needed it fast, and they needed it before anything else could go wrong. That's not the behavior of people who are financially secure. That's the behavior of people who are one missed payment away from disaster. And let's be real about what that cash offer represented. It wasn't just money for a down payment. It was validation. It was proof that someone somewhere thought their house was worth cold hard cash. No financing falling through, no appraisal issues, no buyer's remorse, just straight money, and they could barely contain their excitement. Robyn couldn't stop smiling. Kody was practically glowing because that cash offer wasn't answering their prayers for a new beginning. It was answering their prayers that they wouldn't end up completely financially ruined before the end of the year. So they got their mansion, $2 million worth of fresh start, a house that's 40% bigger than the one they just left. Kody keeps using the word opulent like he just learned it and can't wait to show it off. Opulent kitchen, opulent living spaces, opulent everything. And sure, the house is nice, it's big, it's impressive, but here's what nobody's talking about. They can barely fill it. That massive dining room table that Robyn hates and Kody loves, it's a constant reminder that they don't have enough people to sit around it. Their family shrunk, but their house grew, and that's not an upgrade, that's overcompensation. Ariella's running around talking about how their old house was so small, hardly any room for activities, and now they can finally play hide and seek. But let's talk about that old house for a second. It was 5,000 square feet. 5,000, that's not small by any definition, that's massive. That's more space than most families could ever dream of having. But apparently for Robyn and her crew, 5,000 square feet felt cramped, felt suffocating, felt like a shack. So now they've upgraded to something even bigger, and the question becomes why? Why do 6 people need a house that's 40% larger than 5,000 square feet? The answer is image. It's always been about image with these two. Kody needs to look successful. He needs to prove to his ex-wives, to his estranged kids, to the world watching that he's doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. He's thriving, he's in a bigger house, he's calling it opulent. He's moved up in the world while Christine and Janelle and Mary are off doing their own thing. Never mind that Christine's perfectly happy in her cozy home. Never mind that Janelle's content with her simple lifestyle. Never mind that Mary's running a successful business. Kody needs everyone to see that he won. And if winning means buying a house he can't afford and calling it opulent 50 times an episode, then that's what he's going to do. Robyn's playing the same game, just with different rules. She's talking about building memories in this house, about having grandkids visit, about this being their forever home where they'll grow old together. She's painting this picture of generational legacy, of family gatherings around that big dining table, of Christmas mornings and birthday parties and all the hallmarks of a close-knit family. But it's fantasy, pure fantasy, because the grandkids aren't coming. The estranged kids aren't visiting, and that big empty table is going to stay empty, except for the 6 people who actually live there. The mansion isn't about comfort or practicality, it's about perception. It's about being able to post photos on social media that scream success. It's about giving interviews where they can casually mention their new home and watch people's reactions. It's about proving that leaving Kody was the wrong choice, that staying with him means rewards, that Robyn made the right call by never wavering. But here's the brutal truth. All the opulence in the world can't hide the fact that they're living beyond their means in a house that's too big for their shrinking family. Here's where things get really terrifying for Kody and Robyn. They're not just financially stretched, they're completely dependent on a single income source that could disappear at any moment. Sister Wives, the show that's been documenting their lives for 20 seasons, the show that's paying for that $2 million mansion, the show that's keeping this entire operation afloat, and the ratings? They're dropping. Not catastrophically, but enough that anyone with half a brain should be worried. Yet Kody's out here signing mortgage documents like TLC's gonna keep cutting checks forever. Let's be clear about something. Reality shows don't last forever. Especially reality shows where the central premise has completely fallen apart. Sister Wives was supposed to be about plural marriage, about a man balancing relationships with 4 women, about the complexities and joys of polygamy. But now it's just Kody and Robyn in their big house, pretending everything's fine while the rest of the family lives separately and thrives without them. That's not the show people signed up for. And eventually, viewers are gonna stop tuning in. But Kody can't see it. Or maybe he can see it and he's just in denial. Because in this very same episode, he admits something absolutely devastating. He says his kids visiting is a fantasy, not a goal, not a hope, a fantasy. He knows they're not coming. He knows that room they're setting aside for Truly is never gonna be used. He knows Gwen's not gonna show up for Sunday dinners. He knows his relationship with his children is fractured beyond repair. Yet he's talking about fresh starts and new beginnings, like buying a different house is gonna magically fix years of neglect disrespect and broken promises. And here's the nightmare scenario nobody's talking about. What happens when Sister Wives gets canceled? Because it will eventually. Every show does. And when that happens, when that TLC money stops flowing, how exactly are Kody and Robyn planning to pay that mortgage? Kody's not working a traditional job. Robyn's sitting at home with her kids. Their only income is the show that's documenting their dysfunction, the show that's watching their family implode in real time, the show that can't possibly survive much longer on the fumes of what used to be. Kody's trapped, and he knows it. He can't quit the show because he needs the money. But staying on the show means continuing to expose every dysfunction, every failure, every embarrassing moment to millions of viewers. It means watching Christine thrive without him. It means seeing Janelle's independence. It means dealing with Mary's indifference. And all of that is happening while he's locked into a mortgage payment that requires his reality TV paycheck to survive. The math is simple and brutal. No show equals no income. No income equals no mortgage payments. No mortgage payments equals foreclosure. And foreclosure equals losing everything. That opulent mansion? Gone. That fresh start? Demolished. That image of success? Shattered. Kody and Robyn are one cancellation notice away from financial catastrophe, and they're smiling through it like everything's perfectly fine. It's not fine, it's a ticking time bomb. Now let's talk about the pattern, because this isn't Kody's first rodeo with moving, and it definitely won't be his last. Janelle and Mary both called it out on camera. Kody doesn't stay put, he gets restless. Every 5 years or so, he gets this itch, and suddenly the current house isn't good enough anymore. Suddenly he needs something different, something better, something on the other side of town. He's 57 years old, and he's never lived anywhere for even 10 years. Not once. That's not a man building a legacy, that's a rolling stone who can't sit still. My Kelty's talked about it on her Patreon. Her dad's always been like this. Always moving, always searching for the next thing, never satisfied with where he is. And Janelle puts it perfectly. Kody just does whatever he wants. He doesn't think about the consequences. He doesn't consider how it affects everyone else. He just decides he's done with a place and moves on. Grass is always greener mentality. And every single time he convinces himself and everyone around him that this move is different. This time it's permanent. This time it's the forever home. But here's what's absolutely wild. Robyn doesn't seem to know this about him. Or maybe she knows it and she's in denial, because she's sitting there talking about building memories in this house, about having grandkids run through the halls, about growing old in this $2 million mansion. She's planning decades into the future, like Kody's suddenly gonna change his entire personality just because they bought a bigger house. She's been with this man for 15, 16 years. She's moved with him multiple times already, and somehow she still believes that this time will be different. Spoiler alert, it won't be. In 5 years, maybe less, Kody's going to start complaining about this house. The neighborhood's not right anymore, the commute's too long, the vibes are off, whatever excuse he needs to justify his restlessness. And Robyn's going to be shocked, absolutely shocked, that the man who's moved every 5 years for his entire adult life wants to move again. She'll talk about how she thought this was their forever home, how she made plans, how she decorated, and none of it will matter because Kody doesn't do forever. Think about what that means for their finances. Right now, they're stretched thin, just affording this place, but in 5 years, when Kody inevitably wants to move again, where's the money coming from? Houses that are 40% bigger than $2 million mansions don't come cheap, especially in Flagstaff, where real estate is expensive and in high demand. Are they going to upgrade to a $6 million house, an $8 million house? And how exactly are they planning to finance that when the show's probably canceled by then? Robyn's sitting in her new mansion, dreaming about grandkids visiting for Christmas. But the reality is far more grim. She's not going to have grandkids in this house. Not because the kids won't have children, but because by the time those grandkids are old enough to visit, Kody and Robyn will already be packing boxes for house number whatever, chasing the next fresh start that never quite delivers. Let's talk about the kids who aren't coming, because that's the real tragedy hiding behind all this opulent nonsense. Kody's standing in his new mansion talking about having rooms for his children. Robyn's mentioning the guest room / Truly's room, like Truly's gonna show up with her overnight bag ready for quality time with dad. But it's all performance, it's all for the cameras, because Kody himself admits that his kids visiting is a fantasy, not even a goal he's working toward. Just a fantasy, something he knows in his heart isn't gonna happen. Truly has a room waiting for her. except Christine's actively suing Cody at this exact moment. You really think she's sending her daughter to spend weekends at Dad's new house while they're battling in court? Christine's not stupid. She knows exactly what Kody and Robyn are doing. They're putting Truly's name on a room so they can tell the judge, look, we made space for her, we're trying, but Truly's never stepping foot in that house. She's never sleeping in that bed. She's never making memories in that mansion, and deep down, Kody knows it. Then there's Gwen. She lives in Flagstaff, same town as Kody, same town as this brand new house, and when Garrison passed away, when the family was dealing with unspeakable tragedy, Gwen had to call and ask if she could come over, had to ask permission to visit her own father's house during a crisis. Think about that for a second. Your brother just died, and you have to call your dad and ask if it's okay to come over. That's not a daughter who feels welcome. That's a daughter who knows she's not really part of that family anymore. Do we think Gwen's been to the new house? Do we think she's gotten the grand tour, seen the opulent kitchen, sat at that massive dining table? Absolutely not. She's living her life in Flagstaff, probably driving past that neighborhood, knowing her dad's in there playing happy family with Robyn's kids while she's on the outside looking in. And Kody's convinced himself this is fine, this is normal, this is just how things are now. But wait, there's more, because at the end of the episode, when they're all embracing in the new mansion celebrating this fresh start, there's someone missing. Dayton, Robyn's oldest son. He's not there, he's not on camera, he's vanished, and nobody talks about it. Janelle mentions her kids who aren't filming. Christine talks about her older children. But Robyn and Kody, radio silence about Dayton. It's like he doesn't exist. That's significant. That's a crack in the perfect family facade that Kody's desperately trying to maintain. Because if even the kids in Robyn's house aren't falling in line, if even Dayton's refusing to participate in this charade, then what does that say about Kody's leadership? What does that say about the family he claims he's building? It says it's falling apart, even under his own roof, even with the kids who are supposed to be loyal. The mansion might be opulent, but the family inside it is fractured beyond repair. Now let's do a little comparison, because the contrast between Kody's financial situation and his ex-wife's situations is absolutely stark. Christine's living her best life in her adorable house with David. That place is cozy, it's cute, it's manageable. She's not stretching herself thin trying to maintain some image of wealth. She's not leveraging her entire future on a mortgage payment. She's just living comfortably within her means, and you can see it in her face. She's happy, she's thriving, and she got out at exactly the right time. Janelle's doing the same thing in her own way. She's got her simple lifestyle, her RV adventures, her independence. She's not trying to impress anyone. She's not buying houses she can't afford. She's being smart with her money, living practically, and enjoying her freedom. And both of these women have something Kody and Robyn don't have: financial peace. They're not lying awake at night wondering how they're gonna make the next mortgage payment. They're not dependent on a reality show staying on the air. They're stable. Even Mary's doing fine. She's running her bed and breakfast. She's got her own income streams. She's building her own life completely separate from Kody and his drama. She walked away from that family with her dignity intact and her finances under control. None of these women are struggling. None of them are scrambling for cash offers. None of them are buying houses that are 40% bigger than they need just to prove a point. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn are leveraged to the hilt. They're all in on a house they can barely afford, dependent on income from a show that's losing viewers, and pretending everything's wonderful. They're the ones who stayed together. They're the ones who kept the family intact, at least in their minds. Yet they're the ones who are financially underwater while everyone who left is doing just fine. That has to sting. It has to eat at Kody every single day, because his narrative has always been that leaving him would be a mistake, that the women who stayed loyal would be rewarded, that Robyn's devotion would pay off. But the reality is the complete opposite. The women who left got freedom and financial stability. The woman who stayed got a $2 million anchor tied around her neck. And you can see it in how they talk about the other wives' homes. Christine mentions that of course Kody and Robyn want to move, their house is weird, but then she follows it up with how much she loves her own house. The subtext is clear. Her house might be smaller, but it's hers. She owns it, she's comfortable in it, she's not trying to keep up with anyone. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn are in this arms race with themselves, constantly upgrading, constantly moving, constantly chasing something they can never quite catch. The irony is brutal. Kody thought keeping Robyn meant winning. Thought staying in plural marriage, even if it was just with one wife, meant he was still the successful patriarch. But financially, he lost. Spectacularly. And the women who walked away, they're the ones who actually won. So what happens next? because this story doesn't have a happy ending, and everyone except Kody and Robyn seems to know it. The cracks are already showing, the financial pressure is mounting, the show's ratings are dropping, the kids aren't visiting, and that 5-year itch is gonna come back around whether Robyn's ready for it or not. This isn't a fresh start. This is the beginning of the end, and they're too busy smiling for the cameras to see what's coming. First, let's talk about the show. Sister Wives has maybe 2-3 seasons left, if they're lucky. The central premise is gone, the family's scattered, the drama is repetitive, eventually TLC is gonna pull the plug, and when they do, that steady paycheck disappears. Cody's gonna be sitting in his opulent mansion with no income and a mortgage payment that requires a 6-figure salary to maintain. What's the plan then? Sell the house? Downsize, admit defeat, because all of those options involve humiliation, and Kody would rather drown than admit he made a mistake. Then there's the inevitable next move. Cody's never stayed anywhere long-term, and this house isn't gonna be any different. In a few years, he's gonna start feeling restless. The neighborhood's gonna feel wrong, the house is gonna feel too small, even though it's already 40% bigger than the last one. And he's gonna start looking at real estate listings, dreaming about the next upgrade. Except by then, the financial situation is gonna be even worse. The debt's gonna be deeper. The options are gonna be fewer. And Robyn's fantasy about growing old in this house is gonna shatter completely. And what about the relationships? The kids who aren't visiting now aren't suddenly going to have a change of heart. Truly's not coming. Gwen's not coming. The other estranged children aren't lining up to make amends. That massive dining table is going to stay empty except for the same 6 people who live there. And eventually, even Robyn's going to have to face the reality that the family she's been defending, the family she sacrificed everything for, doesn't actually exist anymore. It's just her, Kody, and their kids in a house that's way too big and way too expensive. The walls are closing in, even if they're opulent walls. The financial house of cards is wobbling, the future is uncertain, and Kody and Robyn are doing what they've always done. Smiling, performing, pretending everything's fine, but it's not fine, it's never been fine. And that giddy reaction when they got their cash offer, that wasn't joy, that was relief. Temporary fleeting relief that they've got just a little more time before everything comes crashing down. So here's the real question. When the show ends, when the money runs out, when the next move becomes impossible, what then? What happens to Kody and Robyn when the fantasy finally collides with reality? Because that day's coming. It's coming faster than they think, and all the opulence in the world won't save them from it. What do you think? Are Kody and Robyn headed for financial disaster, or will they somehow pull off another miracle? Drop your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you won't believe what's coming next.